the book of Revelation, chapter 11, verse 18. And the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants, the prophets, and the saints, and them that fear thy name, small and great, and should destroy them which destroyeth the earth. Kol halo Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahahakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four corners of the globe. My name's Barad Debal, coming to you from the GMS campus, Indianapolis. And to all those listening and learning, to you, I say shalom, especially to you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians that make up the 12 tribes of Israel. I brought out this Revelations 11:18. Main point was the last line, shouldest destroy them which destroyeth the earth. And if you understand and you've come across the videos of the men of GMS, the men of Great Millstone, starting with our head apostles and elders and those that teach the likewise doctrine, you'll find that the earth, Job 9:24, has been given into the hand of the wicked. And currently it's we're under a wicked rulership, a wicked system that is headed by the nation of Edom. Okay, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. And when you read in 18, it says, and the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come. Okay, because all the things that are happening upon the earth, the buildup of this World War III, the MOTB, and all these different policy changes, tariffs, and just the numerous things that Esau is doing, and causing a rift between the people. These nations, are actually gathering themselves together and getting prepared for war. All right, they are angry, and thy wrath is come, and the wrath of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai is coming upon this place, because it is at its very end. It says, in the time of the dead, and that they should be judged, right? So, those that are 2/3 of our people, of course, who tie themselves unto the heathen, they are in the dead state, okay? Like it tells us in the scriptures, they that walketh out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. And this understanding, it tells us, Yahweh Shai said, it is the spirit that quickeneth, right? It's the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai that makes us alive. It says the flesh profiteth nothing. The words that he speak, they are spirit and they are life. All right. And so, of course, people that don't have this knowledge, this wisdom and understanding, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, they will be destroyed. It says that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto the servants, the prophets, because the prophets are in these last days, will be prophesying as we speak of the said perils to come, the famines, the mark of the beast, the World War III, and the complete downfall and annihilation of America, also known as Babylon the Great. And it says, but they're going to receive that reward. And what that reward will be: salvation, a crown placed upon their head, a good job from Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, saying that the faithful servant, roughly paraphrasing. And to the saints who are also the Israelites, okay, it says, and they that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroyeth the earth. And the reason I bring this, this here is because I was scrolling through YouTube and just looking up some videos to watch, and this came up. As you can see, it says demonic sea lions have Californians concerned. Okay, now this was a few days ago, but as you and many should know, especially that are in this knowledge, there's been a lot of things going on in the earth, but the animals themselves have also been greatly affected, whether it's been the whales beaching themselves, fish dying by the masses and coming to shore. You having birds falling out of the sky. You have you can barely find ladybugs, and bees aren't really harvesting, or you don't really find them anymore. And a lot of it is because the defilement under the current inhabitants or current rulers of this land, spraying things in the air, putting things within the water, water sources being next to factories, which then they spew out many of their oils and toxins, should we say, that goes into the ground, and then the animals are affected. The grass is affected. They don't keep the land Sabbaths, which allow for the land to rest. So the nutrients within the grass, the ground, isn't giving up its full vitality. And the scriptures do talk about, the earth being weaker with age. But with Esau, Edom being in rulership, we see that just like in the time of the Greeks, then iniquities begin to multiply, begin to increase on the earth. So now under the current rulership, Esau, Edom, and the head rulers, these elite bankers, starting with the Amalekites, the ones that call themselves the people of the Lord that are in our land. These folks have a strong tendency to cut corners, adding things within the food. Just was reading, Elder Yashawamba did a video about how they were using duck feathers and human hair, grind it down, and it was added into certain foods for fiber. And so under this current rulership, everything is going down. Everything is going crazy. OK, and so I'm going to click this. And there's a couple, I may stop it on a couple points. It's only a minute long. But as you can see, demonic sea lions. Here we go.
Now to the West Coast, and the sea lions getting more aggressive. Experts blame the environment.
So these experts, of course, these are experts from Esau, Edom. OK, and we know, if you know about who they are, they are the liars that the Bible speaks of. OK, but they're blaming, again, they're the accuser of the brethren, but they blame anything that's natural. They have actually been against it. And in the process of being against it, then they set blame, saying it's the environment that's causing them to be that way, but not taking in consideration, they're the ones that actually have caused for many of these things to happen. OK, like, for example, actually, I'm going to play something real quick. Here we go.
Along the California coast, sea lions are getting poisoned by toxic algae, causing them to act in a way some describe as demonic. It comes amid a surge in the number of sea lions ingesting domoic acid, a neurotoxin within algae blooms, through the fish they eat.
We're seeing them look.
So they eat the fish. Of course, that's the ecosystem. All right. They eat the fish eat the algae. The algae, actually, a lot of the algae is eating. A lot of that gets eaten by like the shrimp, lobsters, right? These things, you have other fish that are the algae eaters to balance these things out. And reason I mentioned like the shrimps and lobsters, because, again, they're like at the bottom of the totem pole, and then the fish eat them. So there's a life in which Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai is created within the waters. So when you are taking out the shrimp, which, again, the scriptures tell you, the things that you should and should not eat. And one thing that we shouldn't be eating are the shrimp, lobster, crabs, OK, because they are the cleaners of the ocean. OK, so you throw off the balance, and I'm just throwing this thing out there, that because a lot of people, these things are harvested, but they have a job to do, and they make up, taking care of many of those toxins, not to mention the things that are probably thrown in the water by Esau, Edom, so-called white man. But here we go. So then the fish, of course, eat them or eat the algae. And now you have the sea lions eating the fish. And then they're coming up with these sicknesses.
They're stargazing. We're seeing some animals seem very, very sleepy, maybe right after having a seizure. They may be abnormally aggressive.
One man was surfing when he says a feral, almost demonic sea lion bit him and dragged him off his board, adding, "It was unlike anything I've ever seen in all the years I've been in the water." Marine biologists say the toxic algae bloom that usually forms every 4 to 7 years is forming more often due to warming temperatures and runoff pollution.
Okay, that's another way of saying it. I mentioned it before as far as like these factories and these boats and certain things that are in the water, okay, that's causing complete harm to the animals. And then, of course, many of these fish, keep in mind, getting, mercury, and then they make it to your plate, your dinner plate, of course. So then the people are also affected by these things that they're eating. That's why it's very important that we pray over our food. The scriptures do say that we would eat our defiled bread among the Gentiles. And that bread, what Elder Yashua brought out, is that the Hebrew word lacham. And in that bread, it just kind of makes up food in general. Okay. So anything that we eat, things that we put in our hands on, especially when it's the lawful, things, those are even greatly affected. The fruits, the vegetables, and things like that. But here we go.
Now we're seeing an increase. Over the last 4 years, we've seen consecutive years of this harmful algal bloom off of our coast.
The Marine Mammal Care Center in San Pedro has taken in at least 146 sea lions since last month. Dolphins and seabirds also falling ill. This algae bloom, already described as worse than the one in 20.
Dolphins and seabirds. So sea lions are not the only ones affected. What do the dolphins eat? They're in that hierarchy too, as far as eating the fish that eats the algae, or the shrimp that eats the algae, and the fish that eats the shrimp, and so forth. All right. And then the birds. Okay.
23 blamed for more than 1,000 sea lion deaths. What can the public do? Experts say do your part to create a better environment for marine life.
Throwing away their...
Now they destroy the earth, and now they want to come up with ways to fix it. And the ways they're fixing it, they want to blame the people.
Trash, allowing anything toxic to go down the storm drain, because everything ends up back at the ocean.
Sea lions have a 50 to 65% survival rate if they get treatment right away.
All right, so
at U.S. Bank, we know how good it feels.
Let's get a few scriptures and we'll end. This is the book of Job, chapter 12, verse 6 through 8. It says the tabernacle of robbers prosper. All right, the tabernacle, the house, Esau, Edom, they're in rulership currently. And Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, he's also mentioned in Thessalonians that he who will let, right? He's allowed him to, because of prophecy's sake, because of the word's sake, that he would come into rulership and he would do these things, right? The scriptures also tells you that the thief cometh not but to steal, kill, and destroy. And in these last days, Yahushai was going to allow him to let him do these things until he be revealed. And in Thessalonians, Paul mentioned, that he would be revealed by the prophets. OK, and that they provoke the Most High, and they that provoke the Most High are secure. All right. Into whose hand the Most High bringeth abundantly. So he's allowed them to, do these things. They're rape, robbery, murder. But the Yahweh, like he said, he's created all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. So they're going to receive their punishment. They are considered the whooping stick, the sword of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. When we read Psalms 17, he says, which is thy sword. Or I think it's 9:17. Let me get it. 17 and 13, it says, arise, O Lord, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. He is the sword of the Lord, Proverbs 17 and 13. From men which are thy hand, O Lord, from men of the world, they are the men of this world, this current, present, wicked, evil world, which have their portion in this life, and whose bellies thou fillest with thy hid treasures. So, of course, as you can see, when we go back to Job, you know, all the things in which they've done, they've heaped it unto them, all people, and especially the Lord's chosen, the children of Israel. All nations who got into great wealth and power had the Israelites in captivity. And you go back to the first Egypt, you go back to Babylon, the Assyrians, you have the Medo-Persians, the Greeks, the Romans, and even America today. Okay, they've all had a hand and they were in great rulership, and they all had Israel, and they all had Israel under servitude. So in these last days, it's nothing different with America, also known as Babylon the Great. It says, who fillest with thy hid treasures, they are full of children, and leave the rest of their substance to their babes. It says, as for me, I will behold thy face in righteousness. I will be satisfied when I awake with thy likeness. Because pretty soon this place is going to be destroyed. Slovakia. This place is going to be destroyed, and the elect are going to have the new bodies. Okay, they're going to be changed. But this here, the devil, you know, he's ruling, like Job also mentioned, is for a short time. You know, though his excellency mount up into the clouds, he will be brought down like his dung, right? Like his own dung, roughly paraphrasing. So though he's been lifted up, the Lord is going to bring him down very, very low. Back to Job 18, it says, whose hand, verse 6, whose hand the Most High bringeth abundantly. It says, but ask now the beast, and they shall teach thee, and the fowls of the air, and they shall tell thee. O speak to the earth, and it shall teach thee, and the fishes of the sea shall declare unto thee. So when you look at the animals, and like we mentioned before, the earth, the birds, the ants, just the ecosystem as a whole, everything is in union with one another. But now that Esau Edom has come into play, and you can see the works of the Lord when you look at ants and eagles and how they actually interact, you know, in the earth and how the Lord created them. But then you see how the robber, okay, Esau Edom has come in and he's done everything against nature, and how things are now greatly affected. Now you see, you know, you're looking at the beast of the field and they're getting sick. The fishes are beaching themselves. And you see, when you look at the earth as a whole, it is completely and utterly destroyed. And it's going to be that much further. Like he said, like Yahushua said, he has shortened the days. If he had not shortened the days, there would be no flesh saved. That's one thing with them being in rulership, and if he allows them to continue on, then eventually, you know, everyone would be eradicated off the earth. OK, so it says, and the sea shall declare unto thee. Let's get another scripture. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 5, verse 8. It says, there shall be a confusion also in many places, and fire shall be often sent out again, and the wild beast shall change their places, and mistress women shall bring forth monsters. So, of course, you have women who are giving birth, early births, and kids having deformities and things of that nature. But the point that I wanted to get here is the wild beasts changing their places. You're actually starting to see when things are happening, earthquakes, tornadoes, major events start to happen. You start to see the animals even start to leave certain areas, and then they end up in your backyard. Mountain lions start to roam in places that you hadn't really seen them before, wolves, and then they're attacking people in cities, in major cities. This man is, he's in California, he's on a canoe or he's riding, and out the blue, no pun, sea lion attacks him, though he's in the ocean. It's not a typical thing, and it's actually looks like within the past 4 years it has increased. This should give you an understanding of what time that we're in. The scriptures tell us also in Esdras 9, it says to measure the time diligently in itself. And when we see part of the signs pass, know that we're at the end. Okay. And so now that I say that, let's get this Matthew chapter 16, verse 3. It says, and in the morning, let's actually go. I'm going to read up some. It says, the Pharisees also with the Sadducees came and tempting desire him that he would show them the signs from heaven. All right. And so the children of Israel, this present day, starting with the elect, the men, the true men that are out on the highways, byways, teaching and preaching the coming of our Lord, that is a major sign for you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. So just to kind of give it modern day, this is a sign of Yahushua's return, that we have this knowledge and we've come back into this knowledge. Okay. But then going here, he says, in the time of Yahushua, he says, and he answered and said unto them, when it is evening, ye say, it will be fair weather, for the sky is red. And in the morning, it will be foul weather today, for the sky is red and lowering. O ye hypocrites, ye can discern the face of the sky, but ye cannot discern the signs of the time. So these things with the animals, these things that are happening, you see the people fighting, you see the prophets actually out in the streets, just showing you the way and giving you the true understanding of how all these things are connected with the Bible, how that all these things that are happening is the word of the Lord. All right. People are seeing things happening, but they can't discern that we're actually at that end. But here we go. So it says, a wicked and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, and there shall no sign be given unto them but the sign of the prophet Jonah. And he left them and departed. Right. So a lot of our people in these last times, they're going to be in that they're in that see it to believe it. And when the time come that they start to see these things happen, like the MOTB, the famine starts to hit, people actually, the troops in the land, the World War III begin, the mark of the beast. When these things start to hit, for many people, it's going to be too late. They're not going to know what to do. Jeremiah talks about that. They're going to then be looking for those men that were out in the streets. They're going to then be wanting to speak and find a word. And just like also Ezekiel, their tongue, the prophet's tongue will cleave to their mouth, meaning they're not going to speak. They're not going to have any words to say. And Jeremiah said, some to death, some to the sword, some to the famine, because then there's going to be a point where the Lord's hand is going to draw back, and he's going to then start to rain down judgment. This is the last scripture. This is the book of Romans chapter 8, verse 19. It says, for the earnest expectation of the creature awaiteth for the manifestation of the sons of God. So all things that were created by Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, they're currently are in stress. Like one thing that was mentioned, it said that a brother Kaya in the camp, he brings this up sometimes. He said when it comes to testosterone, the vitality in men and in the earth in general, is weaker. But even the animals, from the dogs and all male animals, even Science study has gone out that they're lacking that healthy dose of testosterone. And so, all creatures, everyone, the children of Israel are waiting for Yahweh Shai to return. But that manifestation of the sons of God, they have been manifest and shown before the people. Okay. And they're waiting for Yahweh Shai to return so that eventually things could be put back in its righteous order. So I'll read that again. It says, for the earnest expectation of the creatures awaiteth the manifestation of the sons of God. And so pretty soon and very soon, Yahweh Shai is going to return, and he's going to set fire to this place and put everything back in its righteous order, where that we can live in peace and harmony forever, even forever. So I hope that this lesson was edifying, uplifting, exhorting of some sort into the body of true believers. Before I end, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Raha HaKadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect scattered throughout the four corners of the globe. Next time, all those listening and learning to you, I say Shalom.